We are looking forward to the devolution conference that takes place in the county of Kakamega. That officially kicks off tomorrow, but there are some activities taking place today. Now, here's a little bit of background. The 5th annual devolution conference does begin in Kakamega County, as I said, and the focus of this year's meeting is President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda, which includes healthcare coverage, affordable housing, food security and manufacturing. Well, delegates from all the 47 counties are expected to attend, with at least 6,000 officials from both the national and county governments. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta will officially open the four-day conference tomorrow morning, and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga will also deliver a keynote speech that's on Wednesday. All right, so that we will, of course, bring you more from the county of Kakamega later on today and, of course, tomorrow. But for now, let's delve deeper into the issue of devolution and, in particular, this conference and what it sets out to achieve. I've got two guests with me in studio. On my far left is Muthiora Karriara. He is the former deputy presidential candidate, and also at least one of them, and also beside him is Bessie Kadhambi. She is a governance consultant. Thank you both very much for joining us on NTV today. Much appreciated. So, as I said, lots to look forward to. It is the 5th annual devolution conference in the county of Kakamega. I'll start with you, Muthiora. What are some of your expectations ahead of this conference?
Well, just a lot of money wasted in this process, because when you're doing something, you've got to have very clear objectives. Now, we had a county government in the last term that existed, but then after we went through the election, most of the governors were uprooted from office. So the people we have at the moment have not been in office. So what exactly are they bringing to the table in terms of this conference? Will they be defending the record of those who came before them? Will they be articulating their vision? And if so, is this the right forum? That would be my take. Now, we know that we need to scale up innovation, and that's important, it's key. But we have other forums where we can do that. We have ASK shows that happen. We have other workshops where we engage people directly. We do not need to have a conference to do that. We have the Council of Governors. They meet often and they deliberate upon issues. To me, I would say this is just an opportunity for people to come together to make a political statement. But besides that, there's really not much that will come out of this conference.
All right, and
I'm sorry I'm being pessimistic, but that's the reality.
All right, well, it's your perspective and an interesting one indeed. Bessie, do you agree with Muthiora that this is just money wasted and a conference that perhaps won't yield much?
No, I don't fully agree. But I think his expectations to some point do make a point. Yes, these are new people in office. But however, it's also a conference that they should use to evaluate themselves. It's not just to have a conference for the sake of having one, but it's for them to be able to look at their achievements, where they have come from, what they want to achieve, and to weigh what they have. What I agree with is that we have new people in office. We have not seen proper handover, where we say, this is what I was doing, this is how far I had, because everybody comes in the office and they begin with new plans and forget what the previous was doing. So I think if they were honest with themselves, then we have a conference that will bring in the actual devolution. Yes.
All right, let's get a sense and understanding first about really what this conference is all about. Of course, devolution is going to be discussed, but we know that President Uhuru Kenyatta will be present. Also, Raila Odinga will be delivering a speech, and there'll be about 6,000 delegates. Muthiora, what, for an outsider who doesn't know much about this conference, what should it be about?
Well, it should be about service delivery to the people. what the county governments plan to do. Of course, when they were campaigning, they shared their manifesto with the voters. But then when it comes to implementation, that's a totally different ballgame. Now, they have programs that are going on. So I would say this is an opportunity for them to take stock of what the counties are about right now. Now, we know devolution is not very old in Kenya. It has faced a few challenges, although opportunities abound. Basically, it's a forum for all players to engage so that we see what didn't work, what could we do better. So I would say this is mostly a discussion, a coming together of minds to see how best devolution can work for Kenya, rather than talking about other deliverables. But then looking at their program, it's not tied down to that kind of a line. It's sort of a forum where people will come to show muscle, to show what we have achieved, to show what you're not doing right, which really should not be the point.
All right, and Bessie, are you able to say really where we are as a nation with regard to devolution 5 years into it?
Well, looking back, the 5 years we've been having teething problem, and as a nation we should be able to get over the teething places, because when it comes to devolution, we have many loopholes in terms of resources, in terms of equipment, in terms of skill, capacity, and then also we have this big white elephant. That was what we were discussing with Muthora here about corruption, because corruption seems to be the hindrance or the obstacle to the proper devolution. 5 years down the line, yes, we've seen little progress, but we don't have standards. So how would we say this is what we have done and it's standardized for the 47 counties? We don't have standards. So devolution on our part is just probably a myth that we still keep on going on with, instead of us sitting down to actually put standards that this is what we expect.
So how are we meant to measure success then, if we don't have those standards?
Well, that's the tricky part about it, and I think that's where we are stuck at. And I hope the conference will be able to have them, not just making political statements, but have standards. You know, if we're talking about the Big Four, for instance, what happened to the Vision 2030? Did it succeed? Because it had standards, it had measurements, it had indicators. So what is this we are calling devolution, so that it's all round, that we know it is working for every county, because these are the indicators that we're using. But currently we don't have any.
All right, well, Muthora, are you able to say, in your opinion, having looked at various counties, where we are as a country regarding devolution?
Well, I'll say devolution is the best thing that has happened to Kenya since independence in terms of taking development to the grassroots. So it's a concept that we should embrace fully, and I'm glad that the national government has been supporting that. Now, you go to the counties, and I've been fortunate to crisscross some of them, and you'll see great disparities. Some counties are way below where we would expect them to be, given the resources that have been allocated to them, since they basically have almost equal measure. The difference is not so big. But then you look at the priorities, and it shocks you that some counties choose to invest their resources in projects that do not give value to their citizens. And that's a disappointment on my part. Now, there are other key things that the counties need to be addressing, but the reality is their focus is not on that. Our government, and by this I mean the county governments, have not gotten the concept of public participation right.
That's true.
So they involve themselves in projects that the people cannot own up or support. And eventually, since some of them are not well thought out, they end up being white elephant projects. So I'll say it's a good thing that the national government is meeting the county governments in this conference, devolution conference. That's the only positive thing I can say about this, that they'll get to sit on the same table,
right,
look each other eyeball to eyeball,
yeah,
and say, look, we hope you will do better within the next 5 years because you failed us in this and that and the other. But otherwise, we should be honest with ourselves. We know that we have a constitution that is very sound, but then it's still trying to come of age. There are positions that exist right now within our structure that we do not need to have, and yet people are not owning up to that. We've seen how counties have recruited the CECs. Our constitution says very well that you are to appoint a minister who has at least 5 years worth of experience in the docket that you're appointing them to. But we've seen a lot of our governors flout that rule. So I hope as they come to sit down, these things will be talked about openly, frankly, and people make commitment that when they go back to their offices, they will do the right thing.
Right. Well, Bessie, you agree with the point that Mudiora raises about the importance of public participation and the fact that that seems to have lacked. What's your contribution to that comment?
You see, with participation, people own up. There's ownership to it. But we find that we have conferences that exclude the person who should be the beneficiary of it. So there's 6,000, like for instance, there's 6,000 officials that are coming. Are there officials that are down with the people? Because devolution is, we are debunking ourselves from a centralized aspect of governance to everybody is in it. But the 6,000, are there those people there who are working with the people on the ground? Because if people participated, if today we did a small, say, a rundown here to find who knows about the big four, you'd be shocked that everybody will think it's the wildlife, you know, the leopards and elephants, but they don't know it's a key project that is going to cost us money. What he said about the structure is, I think we have duplicity of roles, and part of devolution is not to have duplicity of roles, but to enhance the roles so that everybody is included. So we need to also tell ourselves as Kenyans, we don't need this duplicity of structures because county government have, national government have. So is there a way we can find a synergy where we bring in, and public participation is very key, and people need to also be involved.
All right, let's talk about the main challenges of devolution. One of the issues that you both raised was the issue of corruption, of course. That is a big problem in many aspects across the country. What are some of the other big factors that are really hindering us with regard to progressing in devolution, Mudiora?
Well, of course, the biggest is corruption, like you just said, and then we have the bureaucracy. There is a lot of red tape in our governance structure, where sometimes we have a project that's supposed to be commissioned, but then the funds come in too late. But because of the rules that have been laid down, they are not able to absorb these funds to do whatever projects there are. So there's that dysfunction between the national government, or treasury for that matter, and the county governments. And then besides that, I'll say the way some of these counties were thought out. Take for instance Nairobi. Nairobi cannot have a budget that's equal to that of these other counties. We have over 3 million people who are residents of Nairobi. We have the central government based here, the legislature, as in every establishment that matters in Kenya is here. But then the budget that's set aside for this county is not sufficient. But because this was created in our constitution, we choose not to confront the reality as it is. So I hope from this conference they will relook into that. You see, like for instance, you go to a county like Turkana, I doubt they have a problem with garbage collection. But in Nairobi and Mombasa, That's a big deal. But when it comes to allocating resources, we want to put these two at the same level. Now, there are some counties that were left behind because of historical injustices and all that, and we need to bring them up, but then we need to rethink the whole structure. I think some counties such as Nairobi, Mombasa, we should bring in the element of a metropolis so that it works hand in hand with the county, with the national government. Let's stop just vilifying the leaders who are there today. Some governors have bigger challenges than others, so we cannot compare them because it would be a comparison of apples and mangoes, and that's just not right. Now, besides that, let us look at how our counties are harnessing their competitive advantage. I'm glad some counties have set the trail and the bar quite high. Makueni, governor, after a lot of challenges in his first term, he got it right. He went back to the people and asked them, what do you want? Are you interested in just political bickering or you want service delivery? And the people said, we want service delivery. If you have seen it fit that we go back and dissolve this parliament so we can get new leaders, we are ready for that. But then that didn't come through. But after engaging the public in that way, it shows he's in touch with what the people there want. And that's why in his second term, and a remainder of the first term that he had, he has projects that are impacting on the people on the ground. So my opinion is we need to engage the citizens appropriately.
Okay, Bessie, you look like you want to dip into that.
Yes, well, one bit I'll differ on that. In terms of garbage collection is still a very key issue and a very big issue in all the 47 counties. We don't know how to manage our waste, and it's a resource that we can use to create revenue for our young people and also, build up our economy. However, in terms of you're talking about going back to the people. It goes back to public participation because it is very key that you who has been elected to go back and ask the people of Makueni or Nairobi County what it is you want. What I don't agree with is that we want to give certain counties a leeway to think they're more vulnerable than others. They're not, because they have resources, they have ways of creating that revenue. If you look at the CRA report of 2016, counties that never knew how to create revenue did, and they were making a lot of money. So if they can create their own source of revenue, then they don't have to depend on the national government to give them this revenue, and therefore they can develop more. And that's, I think that's the essence of devolution. But we want to still depend on the national government on things we can create revenue on. Yeah, so I think in terms of how they're developing is more or less like having the right people on the right job, because Professor Kibuda Kebwana is good. He knows his work. He knows how to get it done. He has no time for politicking, and when politics is the season for politics, he knows. So I think also the other governors should follow suit. We go to Wasingishu, His Excellency Mandabo. He is very good. He's always stuck in his county. I don't see him around Nairobi, hanging around and hovering. So he's back with his people, doing the real thing that people elected him to do. And that's where I think if we had job descriptions for the CECs, the county people who are being put in these devolved governments, with proper ways of doing an evaluation, then we can be able to bring the success in it. Yeah, because we don't evaluate. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm in total agreement with what Bessie is saying. And it's just that I was giving an analogy that our counties are unique. So we cannot have a one solution that fits all. Yes, the ultimate solution is each county needs to find a way to generate its own revenue, and they actually do, but most of it is lost through corruption. People steal that, and we even have a report that shows that since these governments came into place, most of what they've been doing is stealing. Now, that said, we need to have a structure that supports the uniqueness of the counties that we have. like for instance, and this is just an example, we know Uasin Gishu is the home of champions, and they should be given the leeway and the space and the support for them to build that identity within them so they can tap onto that. Now, Nairobi being the center of government, similarly, should be supported and not be limited to whatever rules, regulations, or constitutional attachments that we have,
Right.
so that it's not tied down by that kind of red tape. Each county is unique.
Of course. We continue with our conversation here in studio, coming to you live from the Nation Centre. It's all about the 5th Annual Devolution Conference that kicks off in the county of Kakamega. And as I said earlier this morning, President Kenyatta, of course, has 4 main pillars that are set to be looked into. That is healthcare coverage, also affordable housing, food security and manufacturing as well. Well, my guests are still with me in studio. Muthiora Kariara, one of the former deputy presidential candidates, also Bessie Kadhambi. She is a governance consultant. Thanks for staying with us this morning. So we've looked at what the governors hope to or should achieve from this governance conference on devolution. But let's look at those 4 pillars: healthcare coverage, affordable housing, food security and manufacturing. In your view, Bessie, are those the key pillars that we do need to be addressing with regard to devolution?
Well, I first think the big 4, as they're being called, is, I mean, we're looking to have someone have a legacy. You know, we're more concerned about a legacy than the actual need. So if we talk about the healthcare, for instance, we have had the NHIF. We can improve the NHIF, and which means now healthcare is affordable to everybody, and there's improvement of facilities in terms of healthcare. We had like the Beyond Zero. Yeah, what has happened? You see, we start projects and we leave them halfway because we are more concerned about legacies than the actual impact that it should be having on people. Yes, they are important, but have we improved on what we had built on?
Right.
So if we are going to have the big 4, in terms of me, what I think has probably brought in a new angle is the manufacturing aspect, which now broadens what we can do. And that gives Kenya a better platform. But for the rest, infrastructure, we had the Vision 2030, which is still being moved on and is going on currently. And through devolution, roads that had never been made since independence, there's hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you see, we can't say that it's the big 4 because it's infrastructure. No, that is part of what the county governments should be doing. So that can be a big 4. If we talk about manufacturing, then there's hope because now we broaden what manufacturing involves. And that way, we now see there's creation of employment, a better economy, and that we can be able to interact and build ourselves as a country. But for the rest of what we call big 4, I don't think we just need to build on it,
right,
so that we see where we've been. Yeah.
Okay, well, Muthiora, what's your take on those 4 pillars? Are they the right sort of priorities that we need at the moment? Where does education fall into this? Where does, poverty eradication fall into this?
Well, they are our priorities, I would say. And you mentioned education, and we know our government takes education very seriously. That's why in the budget every year, it has the biggest allocation. So even without putting it amongst the 4, like in black and white, we know it's there.
Although they do struggle with it immensely as well, as we've seen, lecturer strikes and things like that as well.
And that's matters enforcement and
right,
implementation, which we know is the biggest problem that Kenya faces today.
Yeah.
Now, I could just have added one more thing. Now, we need to accept we are Kenyans, and as Kenyans, we have peculiar habits. And sometimes we like to hide our heads in the sand. We know insecurity is a big problem in Kenya. It should have been part of the big 4. We should be talking about at least big 5. Before President Uhuru came into office, we know we sent our troops into Somalia so we can cut down on the cases of terrorism. Yes, it's true, that has gone down, but every so often we hear about incursions and terrorist attacks within our borders. Now, that means that war is yet to be won. Now, if we are for real and we call it as it is, in Kenya, in most parts, you cannot walk freely past 10 p.m. because you will be attacked. We all know this, and yet we want to say that Kenya is secure. Kenya is not secure. So as we treat symptoms like we always do, rather than the ailment itself, we should treat insecurity. We know we have insecurity in our urban centers because people are unemployed, but then for us to be able to create that employment, we need to do it in a safe environment. We saw a clip from Mombasa. The youths we are seeing there are the way they are because they don't have any gainful activity they can engage in. That's why they get into drugs, and then out of the hype that comes with it, they engage into those very retrogressive acts.
Right.
So as we treat the symptoms in one sector, let us treat all the symptoms across the board. Let's not hide our face as to what we need to do.
Okay.
So insecurity should have been a pillar.
Among those pillars. All right, Bessie, you want to?
Well, in terms
Interject.
of insecurity, I don't agree that it should be a pillar.
Why not?
Because first and foremost, when we talk about insecurity, this what we are calling terrorist attacks, well, they affect us, yes. But when you look at the people you have hired to give you that security themselves, they live in very deplorable states. We've had the Kavalundi Commission for so long, yet we don't see what it achieves. Yet it's taking our taxpayers' money. That if indeed we improved on our security apparatus, then we would never talk about insecurity. Yeah. And when you talk about the young, like the young youth, the young men in Mombasa, they most likely they are on drugs. Yes. Why are they on drugs? They don't have employment. So create employment. Teach them how to be also self-employed, so that we are not creating a generation that is dependent on white-collar jobs, and there are other ways they can create employment. So when we deal with the issue, the security is not the issue, is what we lack. If we do indeed treat, you want us to treat insecurity as a big four, then we'll be calling any other ailment the same. But I don't agree, because if I created jobs for them, people will be working. So I don't mind are those who come to steal. The criminal mentality checks in there. Because
Bessie, that's okay. Yes. I'm just being for real, addressing the situation as it is today. If you park your car today just along the streets in Nairobi, if you didn't leave a tip to the people who you have not asked to take care of your car, you'll find that a part of it will be missing. Now, if we had security, that wouldn't happen. Now, in Kenya, the way things are, we had an opportunity to change this whole government, put in a new one that will provide solutions that are long-lasting, long-term. But we put back the same government that had failed us within the last cycle. The government that focuses on just fixing issues cosmetically. So I'm just saying, the same way that we are addressing every other issue on the surface, if on the surface we can kill insecurity rather than treat why we have insecurity, because that's a long-term measure, it will help to create an environment where we can go ahead and then be able to address the problem of unemployment.
But you see, look at it this way. You're saying that if I park my car on the street, I have help from unwanted security. But there was security. But they don't do their job. So let's work on enforcing and ensuring that they do what they're required to do for me not to have the insecurity. So if I had the city council askaris doing what they ought to be doing, then I would never have any issue about security. Therefore, we have a lag in terms of enforcement, and that cannot be a big four. Enforcement comes in because we either we lack capacity. We don't understand what it is we have. We also don't understand our structures. That's why we have duplicity of rules. So I think if we're talking about insecurity as a big four, then we've missed what the aspect of the big four is about.
Okay, we talk about creating a 24-hour economy in Kenya, but we know you cannot have that in most towns in Kenya because they're not secure. After dark, things go haywire. Now, we want to create employment, and yet we are limiting the number of hours that people work. So if we want to pretend that this is not a problem, we can do so and let it be. But if we want to address the problem that we have, and unfortunately, most of the people who make policy do not get affected by what I'm talking about because they live in those estates where it's okay for you to operate at night. But then the people I interact with on a daily basis, even when they wake up to go to work at 5, there is a risk that they'll get attacked.
No, I don't think so. I think that's still...
I'm just telling you, ask anyone who lives in Kibera, anyone who lives in Mathare, anyone who lives in Kawangware, when they wake up to go to work at 5, there is that risk that someone will attack them and take whatever it is that they have, or even harm them physically. That's a threat every day, which you will say we have a problem with the enforcement of the law. So let us agree, same thing as we're saying, we have a problem with corruption. We need to fight corruption. Yes. Now, insecurity, if we break it down, you see, first of all, you need to identify what the problem really is. And I'm saying in terms of us running an economy that's 24 hours, we need to be secure. Most parts of Kenya are not secure.
Bessie, go ahead.
For me, what I think is when you talk about the person in Kibera and Mathare, even that who is in Lavington, Runda, also experience insecurity. So there's no way you can tell me that because they live in this, they don't also work 24 hours. Yeah, so let's also remove ourselves from the stereotype that the person in Kibera, actually the person in Kibera has better security than that who is in Lavington, because they know each other, they have a neat community, and therefore they are able to work together. Because when we look at insecurity in the aspect you're talking about, I think it's more of capacity building. Because if we indeed treasured our policemen, we give them better healthcare, better housing, they would be on their look. No crime would happen. If counties themselves really valued, and that's where devolution takes a dip, yeah? If they really valued the security apparatus in their counties, they should be having a provision in their budgets that caters to help the security apparatus. But that can be a big four because it is part of our constitutional rights. That I am secure, I feel protected.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's agree to disagree on that issue of the pillars. But one of the key concerns that many county governments often raise is the lack of funding and resources. Is it fair to say that you know, the national government does not give enough resources, Muthiora, to various counties?
You see, that's where the problem is. The counties expect the national government to spoon feed them when in fact they have all the instruments that they need to generate their own revenue. They're just not innovative enough. We know that the government we have has been very supportive of devolution. They do not focus on giving them just the bare minimum as is required by the Constitution. They've received much more than they should be receiving when it comes to their allocation.
But let me just interrupt there. You say that a lot of the counties do have their own resources and rely a lot on the national government. But is it fair to say that? Because I recall, for example, traveling to Lamu County and going to some of the islands and just wondering, you know, when I saw the state of them, I was thinking, how does devolution even work here? The islands were so poor, there was so much poverty that I really wondered where devolution fit in. So is it fair to say that they do have enough resources?
Yes.
I didn't say they have enough resources. I say they have the tools and instruments that they need to create resources or to tap onto the resources that they already have. We've not seen any particular county government go big on private-public partnership. That is an avenue that needs to be explored, but then people are afraid to get into that space because of corruption. So what they need to do is to create a more conducive environment to attract people who are ready to invest in their counties. I've seen a feature that has been running with regard to the titanium mining that's happening somewhere in the coast. And you look at the benefits that the community is reaping from that, and it's huge. And all I'm saying is, if every county tapped onto the resources that they have, they would be able to increase their tax base, and in that way get more revenue. Now, besides that, we've seen some counties diversify, like Makueni has gone into the space of adding value to their agricultural produce. Now, yes, the national government is doing its part. It's not adequate, it can do more, but the counties need to devise their own mechanism to generate revenue and not rely on what people from, because if anything, most of the tax is collected from Nairobi.
Yeah. Okay, let me bring in Bessie, and then we need to cross over to my colleague Sharon. Go ahead.
When we talk about resources, you've talked about Lamu. When now I bring in the environmental aspect, Lamu has a very unique marine ecosystem that they can benefit, and that can be used to produce, to feed the whole world if they wanted. But it's in terms of capacity that they don't know what resource that can earn them revenue. If, for instance, we take Kiambu, Kiambu was nowhere to feature, but immediately they automated the revenue allocation and collection systems. They are among the highest revenue collectors, and we could see development then. And there was the private partnership with the World Bank.
Right.
But you see now that is the way they started doing it, because now there's a system. So what can Lamu do to have their systems in the same regard? Same with Mombasa. Mombasa had no revenue, and right now it's the highest revenue collecting county. So it's just how we want to educate and give them the capacity to be able to do and get to see these other resources that they can use to make good money for.
Okay, all right, that makes a lot of sense, those points from both of you. All right, we are still speaking about devolution, but we need to bring this conversation to a close as we move on to other matters this morning. There is, of course, never enough time to talk about devolution. It's a rather complex issue. But to both of you, as we wind up, really, what do you hope that we achieve? As we started off the conversation, Muthiora, you were rather pessimistic about the conference, but what do you hope comes out of it?
I hope that as the two governments engage, they will strike a deal to cut on the red tape that has been affecting the functioning of the counties. Sometimes I don't get how counties have a cash crunch when we have money lying at the treasury. So I hope they hammer a deal whereby there'll be seamless transfer of resources to the counties, so that whatever projects they have the funding at the time when they need it. And then after that, I hope they will sit down and agree that corruption will be their #1 priority to fight.
And are you optimistic? Because while you said that you weren't so keen on the conference itself, you also did say that there have been several successes with regard to devolution generally. Are you confident that we will still soar high?
Yes, I sincerely believe that over the next period of 4.5 years, devolution will move Kenya much higher than we already are at, because every county will ultimately get to find what its competitive advantage is, and I'm glad that Makueni is leading on this. I hope the other counties will learn from the same, and they keep the competition healthy and going, because the beneficiaries at the end of the day will be the Kenyan people.
Indeed.
So I'm hopeful that that will happen.
All right. Bessie, do we take stock of the lessons learned based on the previous devolution conferences?
Oh, well, I don't think so. Well, I somehow he's probably infected me with pessimism. But if we did, there are certain recurrent mistakes that we keep doing that shouldn't be. And like he has said, my hope is that the conference will make them understand that you can't keep reinventing the wheel. The wheel was done, so let's use the wheel to get us where we need to go. The evolution is done. Let's stop reinventing things that has done. Let's use it to make progress, and I think success will be. But above all, let them put also standards for themselves.
Right.
Indicators so that they know we are moving forward. Because right now, I would talk success and a county somewhere else will say, I don't know what she's talking about. Because we don't know anything in that regard. So the devolution aspect, yes, it's working and it can work better. But we need to have standards so that when we talk about devolution, it's uniform to everybody and can be worked on.
All right, all right. Thank you so much to both of you for your time on NTV today.
Yes.
Did you have something to add?
Yes, just before you wrap up.
Yes.
Well, the chief convener for a campaign, Kenya One campaign, where we are asking every Kenyan to be a custodian of our nation, Kenya. You do your bit, your fight against corruption will lead us towards having this nation where we have zero tolerance towards corruption. 8,044 Kenyans reported cases related to corruption within the last financial year. So I'll be cycling around Kenya.
Ah, okay.
A kilometer for each case that was filed, because there are Kenyans out there who believe we can win the fight against corruption. So you saw my attire in this overall.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
I'm
explains
telling
it.
Kenyans another thing, that when politicians come to you, they are at work. At that moment, you've left your work to come help them do their work. So ask yourself, what are you getting from them?
All right.
Mind your work. Let politicians do their bickering. As long as it's not bringing butter to your table, mind your own business.
All right. Well, thank you, and we wish you all the best with that cycling initiative. Thank you very much to both of you for your time on NTV today. Joining me in studio, Bessie Kadhambi. She is a governance consultant, and also Muthiora Kariara. He is, as you heard, a former deputy presidential candidate, speaking to us about the upcoming devolution conference that kicks off officially tomorrow in the county of Kakamega. We will be live from there, so more on that tomorrow.